Alrighty, and we are live. Well, good morning, everybody. And thank you for your patience this morning. What I love about life is no matter how much planning you can do, there can always be something, some sort of technical issue. And today it was us being able to hear one another. But we figured it out with some patience and some collaboration, which is awesome. So, my name is Tiffany Hill Cook, and I run a spiritual practice called the Healing Hill. And weekly, I invite different spiritual practitioners or individuals that just have a really cool story onto my YouTube channel to essentially share about themselves. And today's guest is Molly Grove. And I met Molly, I don't even know, definitely within the last few years. And I met Molly through a dream school that I don't know if you went to the dream school as well, but we definitely have connections through this dream school.
Correct.
And ultimately, I did some work with Molly and vice versa. She does really cool things, and we have a lot of similar experiences in our life. So I'm going to have her introduce herself. But one thing that we definitely share in common is we were both born in Eastern Washington State. And we also spent some time working in corporate America, but specifically in human resources, which is interesting. So, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, my name is Molly Grove, and I just want to thank you, Tiffany, for having me on today. It's really an honor and a pleasure to be here. I am a bioenergy healing practitioner and intuitive life coach. And as Tiffany said, I used to be in corporate America for 25, 30 years and absolutely loved it until I didn't. And then the universe introduced me to the energy world, and here I am today.
Yeah, yeah, that's really beautiful. It's hindsight's always 2020. But one of my favorite stories that you shared with me is, how do I start this? You ended or had ended your corporate America job or career, but were still seeking to get back into it and had applied to a few different positions that you were more than qualified for, but you weren't gaining any traction. And so, would you mind sharing with folks that experience that you had? Because I can imagine others, with slightly different, clothing would have the same experience.
Yeah. I didn't even know the word what energy was until about that time. But I was intuitively drawn. And so, but I also realized it's a hobby. It's not something you earn a living at. And I still wanted to work. And so I kept looking for HR jobs, which is what I do. And I would get very close to these great jobs, seemed like the perfect thing for me, and then I would just be cut off. So eventually I asked the guys, I said, am I ever going to get another HR job? And they said, no, time's up. That chapter is closed. We've done everything we can to make sure you did not get those jobs, and it's time for you to complete and do what you came here to do and committed to doing before you came to this lifetime, which is I'm a healer. I've been a healer many, many lifetimes, and this one has been a really exciting ride for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good morning. My Aunt Karen is here. Good morning, Aunt Karen. Family's always great for support, right? Um,
Yes.
how did you, what shifted in your life where the, the corporate America was no longer fulfilling? Because I had the same experience, but mine happened in like an instant. And then I challenged a manager. I was suspended that day. I resigned the next day. Mine was like a blaze of glory. Happened very quickly. So, what in your world, what perspective shifted for you?
I think the big thing was the senior management team, and specifically the CEO. It was a new CEO, and it was very, very different values than I am used to. And I worked for the same guy for 30 years, and he also did not um, click with the CEO. And so he decided to retire early. I should have realized then that my days were numbered because it just wasn't a good match anymore. Prior to that, it was fantastic, but
Yeah.
it was in the last year or two even,
Mhm.
uh, I was just not no longer aligned with what I am.
Yeah. For me, I lived in a state of delusion.
Ah,
That
yes.
was a lot of
Heard
my
that.
experience, that I found an organization that energetically was my mother. And so, a lot of control. Nothing was ever good enough. And it was just me striving to just be seen, just like that little kid that just wanted to be seen. And so, you know, I know that I was supposed to work there. I know that everything that happened was supposed to happen. But for me, it was like it was the same company the whole time. I just never saw it for what it was. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So let's talk about your business
Okay.
and how that leads into the work that you're doing today. Because to my, there's probably a specific demographic that is best for you to work with. So, what type of people are um, the best clients for you?
It's evolved. You have to understand, I had no business spending the kind of money to become a practitioner. It took me to Costa Rica, out of the country, and again, I did HR, and so when I came back from that training is when I was told that no, that chapter's done. So I started my own company, Bioenergy Healing Source, and it was easy to start doing the work because it was free. Part of the internship was you had to work on a certain amount of people and have a 50% success rate. So I would drive around and whoever let me work on them, which was fun, but I never had to charge them. But eventually, reality is in this work, in anything you do, there's an exchange required, and so I
Yeah.
did have to. And so I started. I rented a couple spaces, one at a holistic center in Victoria, Washington, and then another in the yoga studio. And the profile tended to be um, women in their 30 to 60 years of age. Although I've had quite a few men as well, but they have the same profile. They're educated, they're proficient, they're professional, they are trying to do it all, type A personalities, but inside there's the imposter syndrome where you don't really feel authentic and never good enough. So that is what the universe has brought me, and it's continued to be even greater in the last year or two. And that's I really believe that whoever is supposed to work with me, the universe connects us, and we do the work, and they go on and live their life to their fullest. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's really beautiful. And I can imagine, at least for myself, I had this high profile, I worked in human resources, but specifically I worked in outside sales. And so it was I was selling recruiting services. And so it was this work hard, play hard mentality. And it was so out of alignment with the authenticity of my soul. I wanted
Exactly.
the house. I wanted, I was so vain. I mean, I never left the house without my hair and makeup done. I was so obsessed with my clothing and what my clothing looked like. And I looked good, I'm not going to lie, but it was just my soul knew that none of that mattered. And so I had started to see a counselor, I don't know, let's say a couple of years before I quit this company. because I had a pain in my heart that had, I had hope. I knew that I didn't have to be riddled with anxiety. I knew that, um, I just knew that I didn't have to have pain in my body like I was feeling. But I was still blind to the root cause of the anxiety and of the unhappiness. And so I had to reprogram myself around what actually is life about, because I was told by my family and then what I observed in society that you get that big job and you have weekends off and you get a 401k and you invest in the stock market and you have this cookie cutter house and you're married by 30 and have, again, all of these things that weren't actually important to me, but I was trying to fit into this mold. And so I can imagine, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if the individuals you're working with also experience that same thing.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of bioenergy healing or any kind of energy healing is once the body gets the energy flowing and it's no longer stuck, what happens to the body is due to stress or trauma or whatever is going on, the energy gets stuck and trapped in your body and you get sick or you get anxious.
I was always sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So,
nothing was wrong. No doctor could discern or
no,
give me a diagnosis. It was like, again, it was my body
yep,
reacting. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. So, what bioenergy healing does is using a variety of hand techniques and intuition and channeling, I bring the energy to start flowing again. It's nothing I'm doing. I serve as a conduit for universal energy to go to the client. Um, and I do some quantum healing in the midst, usually in their heart. But when I'm done, I take my energy back. And that's been a big lesson for me is I always felt that I could handle it better than them because that's the way I am. But that's actually not how it works. It's their journey, their path. I'm just a conduit for their healing. And so, and it's magical to watch people shift. Once the body is released, they feel lighter. And the universe responds in kind. When you don't feel very good,
Mhm.
then the universe only knows one word. It's yes. So it brings more of that, and until you can't take it anymore. And then once you've gotten the body back to healing and the energy is flowing, then your vibration raises to a
Mm.
level you feel great, and the universe goes, "Oh, they like that. So let me bring more of that." And
Mm.
life just gets better and better. Um, so,
That's
um,
beautiful. I just got chills there, which is just validation for the words that you're speaking. Um, let's talk about what a session would look like, because you talked about energy earlier. And when I had my awakening, when I quit that company, I didn't know what energy was, outside of the fact of like plugging in a light, that the actual more tangible electricity and that form of energy. I had no idea that everything was conscious. I had no idea that we even had chakras within our body and energy centers. I mean, there's infinite ways to understand us as a human within the universe. So I thought that you had to be in the same room as someone whenever you were getting some sort of treatment. I didn't, so walk me through how someone could book with you, what a session would look like. Is it in person? Is it remote? And yeah, tell me about that.
Actually, it's either because there is no time and space with energy. So you can be on the other side of the world and I can still work on you. So in both cases, I connect with the individual, usually either on Zoom or in person, and I talk to them a little bit to get to know them. And I get intuitive hits. I also use the modality of emotion code release therapy if I'm called to, where there's trapped emotions in your body, and you can use through muscle testing, and I can determine at what age that got trapped, what it is, where it's trapped, and then we go down to the point where, in order to release it, though, the client needs to remember that it's your higher self helping you do that, and it's amazing how things that you've never even thought of before realized come to life, and then you release it, and then it's gone forever. So the bioenergy healing session is they're standing in front of me, whether they're remote or not, and I connect with their soul, and then I go through. They're listening to meditative music, and their eyes are closed, and we are going through a variety of hand techniques, mostly hands off, done just moving around the body. I can feel where the chakras are trapped. Mm-hmm. And then I work on that a lot until I loosen those up. At one point, I also sit them down and my hands go on their head and I call in their higher self and my higher self, and I ask, what is it they need? And the client will get intuitive hits, I get intuitive hits, and they may not come at that moment, but it may come when they're brushing their teeth later. But your guides and angels are always there for your love and support. And so then we stand you back up and continue to do the hand techniques and to balance you out and lighten it up a little bit. The first session, we do a session of 4 in a row, either 4 days in a row or 4 weeks in a row, and then the fifth session is 3 weeks later. And it really makes no difference whether it's 4 days in a row or 4 weeks in a row, because again, there's no time and space. It's whatever works for the client. And your body's going to heal at whatever rate it's meant to, so it doesn't matter the timing. And then the first session, it's lightweight. Second one, it's a little more intense. Usually the third one has some powerful awakenings, happenings. It can be very emotional. Mm-hmm. But that's the work. I've had 1 or 2 clients that after the first session, they'll call me and say, I want to disappoint you, and I'm afraid because I don't believe in this, I'm scared. And I said, trust me, I know that this is difficult because you're going to be addressing things that maybe you didn't realize were even there. But I promise you, it'll be a very positive experience. And it always turns out to be more than the client could ever even imagine. Because they aren't doing the work. I'm not doing the work. God is. The universe, the source, whatever you think is a higher power. When you surrender and allow the healing to happen, it does.
That's really beautiful. And I can absolutely identify with those individuals that were unsure. And the word, or maybe you didn't say this, but what I felt was fear. Because our ego is always attempting to make itself more prevalent and more prominent, and ego operates out of fear. And one thing that when I started to know that I was a spiritual being and that we all have a soul is I actually wanted to eliminate my ego. And now today I'm like, that's not something I'm seeking to do whatsoever. I love my ego. It's one of my greatest teachers, but it can be a storyteller at different times. And sometimes I think I'm making a decision based out of love. And I realized in hindsight, I was like, that was my ego running the whole show the whole time. So what a beautiful gift that you offer these individuals, rooted in love, with the intention of love, to guide them through an experience that they're ultimately taking themselves on. But it's almost like a shaman that you are in that moment. So, because I've been there before, it's like, you want to get in the pool, but you're not sure what temperature it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of those that was hesitant was a friend that she didn't want to disappoint me, which was, I said, it's not about me. This is about your healing. And so she finally says, okay, I'll come back. But yeah, and the thing to remember is intuitively we know. And so when you get intuitive hits or guidance, if it's true guidance coming from a place of love or support from your guides and angels, it's going to feel good. It's going to feel in alignment. It's going to be your authentic self. So you go with that, and there's going to be no stopping you because it is just the way it is. If it's false guidance, that's your ego, and it's going to feel out of alignment. It's going to feel like, I don't know if this is right. Listen to your intuition, and always listen to yourself and go with you, not your ego.
I had to relearn how to trust myself because I had given so much of my power away. It's like that scene from The Notebook, and he's like, "What does baby want?" She's like, "I don't know." Because
I love that.
True insight. I knew what you wanted. I knew how to serve you, even intuitively, because I am psychic. I knew how to read the room. My needs, I always sold myself short.
Yeah.
I always, so even when it came down to what I wanted to do for a hobby, I had no idea even how to discern what that would look like. So for me, I just went and I bought some things, and some things weren't for me, and then some things were for me. The more healing I did, the more I started to remember who I was. But at the beginning, I didn't even know how to follow my intuition because I had dimmed it so much.
Yes, and we all go through that. So again, I don't know what carried you through, but
Like you said earlier, like just a few exchanges ago, I didn't have any other choice. I don't know how else to say it than that. It
yeah,
and I do quite a bit of writing. I go through spurts where I write a lot. Like right now, I'm feeling very motivated to write. I'm channeling when I'm writing, and it's yummy. And I remember writing right after I had quit this company, which I have now I call a cult, which is my experience. Is if hell was what waited for me on the other side, I didn't care. Living the life that I had been living was no longer sustainable. I just simply couldn't do it. So I didn't know for the first time in my life, I had no idea what the other side looked like, but it didn't matter. I had to move towards it. Like it was the only path forward is the best way for me to say it.
yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
100%. Yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So we've got about 5 minutes left here. I want to make sure that I get this out. If you're interested in working with Molly, in the description box below is going to be contact information. Specifically, your website should be in the description box below. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is your YouTube handle is going to be down below as well. So talk to me about your YouTube channel and what can folks expect to find there.
One of my favorites is when I was on Wisdom Soup, and which is a meetup group that I got started with Van Tucker, and I did a bioenergy healing session actually online, and so that's kind of fun to watch. And it's neat to hear from people all over the world say, I watch that a lot and get a lot out of it because they're going through the healing. It's wonderful. My first experience with it and put me live. And Michael Sheridan, who's also, we all know, is a wonderful human being, he said, because what I did, she said, okay, you're live. And so she asked me questions and I messed up. And I go, can we start over? And she said, no, we're live. And anyway, she published that thing on the internet. And Michael said, are you sure you want to do that? And Anne said, absolutely. That makes her authentic. That makes her real.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's beautiful. So the different videos or platforms that you've been a part of in the past, they can find there.
yes,
Yeah,
for sure.
that's really beautiful.
I would like to communicate to everyone. Um, we often talk about, well, how can I open my heart? How can I get into this alignment, um, and into this vibration? And what it is just do what makes you happy. Do what lights you up.
Mhm.
Spend time with those you love that light you up, whether it's babies or your best friend or laughing, things that make you happy. The universe will take care of the heavy lifting.
I
I've
do.
got to believe that because once you're in alignment with happy and love, it just happens organically. So surrender and let go, let God.
That's so beautiful. One of the knowings that I have is if you follow joy, you will discover your purpose.
Yes. Oh, I love that one.
Yeah,
Yes.
and there's so much conditioning and programming that we receive around what we're supposed to do and what life is supposed to look like. You know, life's a bitch and then you die.
Yeah.
Um, Nobody likes to work. You just have to. It's like, and I hear these things out in the ether regularly, and I post often on YouTube. And sometimes just expressing love is very triggering for people. They don't. It's a frequency that they haven't felt in a while, and it incites different, um, let's say, trauma responses. And so, but just know that that has nothing to do with you. So just
Yes.
because you start opening your heart or live with an open heart, and someone you have an experience where it let's say it wasn't positive or of light, that has nothing to do with you. And that has everything to do with the person that you're having that experience with. And just continue to honor yourself, because I so truly know that to be true as well. Life, heaven and hell exist here. That's what I know. Nowhere
Yeah.
else can they exist but here. Yeah.
Random acts of kindness are one of the most heartfelt things to do. And it just, whether it turns out, it'll shock people that you are kind and can do these things, but it'll make you so happy and it fills a need for them to know that they're loved and respected and authentic.
There's this song that I recently found, probably a few months ago, and I can't remember the name of it. I think it's called either Mount Wolf by the Bergs. I think that's what it's called. But all it is an instrumental with a man from like the 70s giving a speech around what life is supposed to be like. And one of the things that he talks about in particular, he was like, we're here to take care of ourselves. And while you're at it, look out for the betterment of your brothers and sisters. He's like, that's it. That's
Amen.
what it is.
Wow.
He's like, but we make it so messy. We overcomplicate things unnecessarily. And so, and it feels so good when you do something for someone else, not at the cost of your own needs. Trust me, I know how to be, I was a certified people pleaser, so I know what that looks like. When you have with the opportunities, and I ask for them daily, they will present themselves and you will have whatever is needed in that moment. And it could simply be a smile. It doesn't have to be a tangible item that costs money. Um,
Exactly.
and then the people that observe it, they also get that wave of love, which is so beautiful. It's like this
I
dot.
know.
Yes. Yeah.
You'll make your whole world, your whole day, your life. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Awesome. Um, is there anything else you would like to share, Miss Molly, before we head out?
I think the biggest message is just do what makes you happy. We're all struggling to find ourselves. We're stuck. But if you can find your sweet spot, the, the love of your life, whether it's a child or an animal or being outside in the dirt. Just do that. And I promise you, life will get better.
The other message that came to me probably about 6 months ago, because I moved into this healing center space, and what I thought it was almost like a reverse manifested it. I got the space, and then I'm like, okay, what do I do with this thing now? And so I was, let's just say, meeting resistance. I was moving forward in different directions, and I was like, I don't want to do that. And no, I'm 2 steps forward. I don't want to do that. And what my guides told me was, Tiffany, your destiny is always changing. So what brought you joy yesterday, what was happiness yesterday, isn't today. And that's okay, because boredom is your imagination calling. So go find, so just, I want to share that just to give yourself permission to change your mind around, again, whatever your path is that you're on. There are times where we have twists and turns, and we could never even have, I could never have imagined sitting in this moment with you right now, Molly, talking about energy and our and love, and the secret sauce to life.
Yeah.
I am absolutely having a great time. And so I'm just thankful that I have allowed myself to be in this moment, because I could still be at that corporation completely a shy of a person. There's people that are there 30 years, and I know that there's a timeline where I am still there, just due to how, quantum mechanics work. There is a part of me, there is a version of me that is still there. I'm just thankful it's not this one.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. Alrighty, folks. If you benefited from this, and I should have said this in the beginning, as an exchange of energy, if you could give us a thumbs up. If you aren't already subscribed and you want more of this type of energy, this is what my channel is all about. Leave us a comment if you're interested as well. That'd be cool. And if you're interested in connecting with Molly, all of her details are below. And if there's some sort of connection that isn't available, send a message. I can connect it to Molly, and we will absolutely get you that answer. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are in the world. And whenever you're watching this, just know that you're loved simply because it's true. Not for anything that you do or do not do. All right, we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Tiffany.